let me just open the show with this. My pound-for-pound list looks like this. Floyd Mayweather Jr., Juan Manuel Marquez, Andre Ward. Yes, Andre Ward. See, let me tell you guys about how I put my fighters on the pound-for-pound list. Fight game number one. Your fight game got to be crisp. You got to have your fight game got to be intact. You know, good defense, good boxing ability. How are you in big spots and big moments? That all counts for something. Longevity accounts for something. Level of competition accounts for something. Andre Ward passed all those above. You know, he passed all those, all those different, those obstacles that I put out there. He's passed all of them. 1996, I think Reasonable Doubt, and it was released in 1996. Two very influential albums in the game of hip hop. You know what else happened in 1996? That was the last time Andre Ward lost a fight. Yeah, 1996. And that's not by accident. That's not coincidental. That's not accidental. That's what happens, when you're very dedicated to your craft. You're a sponge. But you got to be somewhat of a sponge not to lose in 15 years, from the amateur to the professional ranks. Gold medal Olympic winner, Super 6 tournament winner. I just want people to understand something about what Andre Ward did. And I was bringing this up to a friend of mine the other day. I said, you can put Mayweather in there, Pacquiao, whoever. Can you imagine if Mayweather, Pacquiao, Cotto, and granted, all these people are in their prime at the time this tournament would have taken place, this hypothetical tournament. So you got your Mayweather, your Pacquiao, Miguel Cotto, Antonio Margarito, Paul Williams, you want to put Claudio in there, whoever. Just all the prime, again, no losses. Well, they could have had losses prior to the tournament, but everybody's in their prime. I don't care how Floyd Mayweather, I would pick Floyd Mayweather to win that tournament, this hypothetical welterweight tournament. But I can assure you this, the greatest Floyd Mayweather is, there would have been a fight in there that gave him a scare. There would have been some rounds that gave him a scare, because that's just kind of what happens when you face great opposition. You're going to be put to test. But the difference between the greater fighters and the not so great fighters is they figure out a way to win. Great fighters always make adjustments in any sport, not just in boxing, in any sport. Great athletes just find a way and find a will to win. They know how to make adjustments on the fly. And I'm saying this to say that what Andre Ward did in his Super 6 tournament was a thing that's kind of like unheard of in the sport of boxing, especially in the modern-day boxing. 80s, beyond. I even go with someone in the early 90s, beyond. Although it wasn't called a tournament, people fought great opposition after great opposition, so on and so forth. But nowadays, as we all know, it's not like that. And what Ward did was, now mind you, it's easy to say, oh, I had Andre Ward winning the tournament. No, y'all didn't. A lot of y'all didn't. And I see, the thing about it is, when this tournament first took place, when it was first originated, and when they announced everybody, and we're on video, you can go back and look through the catalog. Me and Sleep both picked Andre Ward to win the tournament. Because we just saw when he fought Pantera. What's his name? His nickname is, his attributes Pantera. I can't forget this. Edison Miranda. When he fought Miranda, I seen something in the kid. I just saw things that he was doing in the fight that I don't normally see young fighters do. And I knew, I said, these guys that he's getting ready to get in this tournament with, they're not ready for the trickery he's getting ready to bring to the ring. They're not ready for, these backyard alleyway tactics that he's bringing into the fight. And out of one fight, I saw this. And I knew that he would be able to bring this to the tournament and it wasn't going to be no one was going to have an answer to it. Because with the exception of Carl Froch, I knew pretty much what the rest of the people brought to the table. But don't get it twisted. All these guys were tough outs, and all these guys were either world class champions at one point in time, and just pretty much seasoned fighters. Andre Ward was the only unproven guy in this tournament. Andre Ward was a guy that was fighting pretty much nobodies to world class opposition. Again, this is unheard of. You don't go from fighting nobodies, tied up for 2 years, against all world class opponents. And there was a couple changes that took place within the tournament that he didn't really have a book on, guys, and he was forced to fight on the fly. Dominated the tournament. Dominated it. I mean, when you're talking about Mikkel Kessler, a guy, world-class fighter, that gave Joe Calzaghe a better – now, granted, we don't want to do the triangle because styles make fights. But on the surface, he gave Joe Calzaghe a better fight than he gave Andre Ward. I remember watching the fight, the first round of the Mikkel Kessler fight, and right from the rip, he had the lead mitt, because people always ask what I mean by when I say he blindfolds a fighter. He had his lead mitt wide open, like how Roger Mayweather works with Floyd Mayweather. You know, that's what they call that, blindfolding a fighter. It's an old trick. It's an old trick from like the 50s and the 60s. You don't even see fighters doing it no more. It's technically illegal. But he's so freaking crafty and sneaky, he was able to get away with this tactic. And Kessler wasn't ready for that. These guys, they don't even train for stuff like that. He was blindfolding him, hugging him and mugging him and sucker punching him with counter right hands. I mean, this is what Andre Ward did against a world-class guy. From fighting a world-class guy to fighting a guy that became pretty much a punching bag to the sport, and Edison Miranda. This became somewhat of an opponent. It went from that to a world-class fighter, and from that moment on, pretty much dominated the tournament. Dominated it. Like, nobody even gave Ward a scare in this tournament up until, you know, and I'm going to get into this last Saturday night. I'm just recapping what he has done in the tournament and why he's number 3 ranked pound for pound on my list. I don't care who disagrees with me. I don't care. This is Coltrane's list. I'm not up on here trying to sell you on anything. I'm telling you what my list is. And it ain't nobody that's going to change that. This guy dominated his division. Don't tell me about Lucien Boutte. Don't tell me about Lucien Boutte, because Lucien Boutte, this tournament, when it was first originally designed, we were trying to figure out a way we can bring light to this. See, one thing about the super middleweight division is, a lot of y'all don't know this, is that the super middleweight division has always been in the shadows, you know, of heavyweight and light heavyweight. As we all know, it's not one of the 8 original divisions, like a lot of other divisions aren't. But the super middleweight division always been like the black sheep of the family. A lot of great fighters have come through super middleweight. A lot of great fighters have come through there. But there's always been somewhat of a pit stop. And the only one that stayed there the longest was Joe Calzaghe. What this tournament did was it brought some light back into, some well-deserved light into the super middleweight division. So not only was it great, you know, for us as fans to enjoy a great fight, but it also brought some light back into the super middleweight division, some well-deserved light. But Andre Ward, man, you know, the guy is 27 years old. As I mentioned in the beginning of the show, he hasn't lost a fight since he was 12 years old. And last Saturday night against Carl Froch, with all the marbles on the line, big moment. And I told y'all this. Again, you can go back and check the tape. I said that Carl Froch was going to be Andre Ward's toughest fight for a few reasons. For one, I think Carl Froch has grown as a fighter. You know, when Carl Froch first came on the scene, you know, at least over here in the States when he fought Jermaine Teller, that's not the same guy that we saw on Saturday night. Carl Froch has improved his boxing skills. Carl Froch has a very, very impressive motor. As these fights go on, you know, he becomes fresher and fresher. And if you don't know how to deal with that, you know, you could potentially be knocked out, or he's just going to probably win the fights on points. And I told y'all that Carl Froch, sleep too, we both said it, that he would land a lot more on Andre Ward than any other fighter has. But last Saturday night, you know, when he fought a guy like Andre Ward, who knew how to negate his aggressive nature, and he negated his aggressive nature by tying him up, spinning him, holding him. You know, Carl Froch was one of these people, just like a lot of the, well, I shouldn't say one of these people. He was a fighter like many other fighters that watch Andre Ward on film and think he's not physically strong until they get him. See, everybody want to talk about his punching power. See, punching power has nothing to do with sweet science and being crafty. You know, punching power is something that, you know, I think fighters overhype sometimes. You know, when you hear a guy talk about another fighter, they start talking about, oh, he don't hit hard. It ain't about that sometimes. It's about dictating your flow of the fight. What would you rather have, punching power or a way of controlling the action, you know, putting a fighter in a trance? Because that's what Andre Ward does. He essentially puts you in a trance. And from the rip, what did I tell y'all? Soon as Froch think he's getting into any kind of rhythm, what Ward going to do? He going to crash into him, head first into his chest, blindside of the ref, a la Bernard Hopkins, complain to the ref like he's the one getting dealt with, meanwhile smacking Carl Froch on the hips and, you know, leaning his body on Carl Froch, you know, making it an easy 6-inch fight. And this is what Ward's been doing this whole tournament. You know, he's not coming. Oh, he can box too. Like, don't get it twisted and think he's some Antoine Eccles where he's all about hugging and mugging and ain't no fight game attached to it, because he can box too. You know, one of the things that Ward did that was really impressive was, and it's something, I know they said Floyd is known for doing this, but Sweet Pea Whitaker does it too. And what this does is it does two things. And if you notice, Ward was getting knee-high low, double and triple in the jab to the solar flex. Purnell did it. Floyd always do it. It does two things. It sets up the right hand. Well, in Sweet Pea case, it set up the short left hand, and it keeps you out of harm's way. You know, Purnell used to do it, and again, Floyd did it. Again, when you squat low like that and double and triple the jab, you're not giving your opponent no clear target to hit. Well, listen, y'all, this stuff that Andre Ward does, you're not going to see a lot of fighters do all these different things that I'm talking about. This is what you call being well-seasoned and well-schooled. And, you know, Carl Froch, to his credit, you know, he didn't let none of that, like a lot of the other guys, when Ward was doing a lot of this stuff, they was kind of mentally checking out of the fight. But Froch just, you know, he stayed the course. You know, he stayed the course the entire time. And late in the fight, Ward, you know, got a little cocky. You know, I think it was the 9th round when he decided, and he's been doing this the whole tournament. But again, like I told y'all leading up to the fight, this is the championship round. So I didn't expect for it to be an easy fight, like when he fought the other guys. To get to this level, that means the guy that you're fighting must be really good, because he's done the same thing that you did, beat a lot of great fighters to get to the point of the tournament of where you're at. So I didn't expect Ward to end the whole tournament without a stain on his shirt. That's not the way this thing works. And don't discount Froch like he's some type of slouch or something. You know, Ward was going to get touched up in this fight. Like, it wasn't going to just be, you know, he was just going to shut him out 12 straight rounds. But, you know, Froch just kept pressing and pressing. And, you know, Ward tried to, you know, because like we said, he's a natural left hand. He tried to switch it and go into the southpaw stance, and it costed him. It costed him. He got caught with a nice right hand by Froch. But Ward, you know, being a student that he is, you know, he knows, like we always say on GRILLBOXING, a phrase that's coined by Teddy Atlas, he knows how to behave like a fighter. What does Ward do when he gets hurt or gets hit with a punch or when he's tired? You clutch and hold. You don't fight your way out of that. You clutch and hold. You clutch and hold. You move lateral. You see Bernard. I'll never forget a statement Bernard Hopkins made. He said, somebody asked him, they said, have you ever been tired in a fight before? He said, hell, he said, everybody's been tired in a fight before. He said, but the key thing is about being tired in a fight, about when you're tired in a fight is how do you buy yourself time to become untired? He said, y'all will never know when I'm tired in a fight. because I know how to buy time and buy my way back into the fight. That's all Andre Ward did. Yeah, he was tired, and a lot of it, you got to remember that for 24 months, him and Carl Froch, they've been fighting top-level opposition for the last 2 years. That's not an easy thing, folks. That's not easy to do. And to me, it looked like a guy that's been pushed. That's why you hear Andre Ward saying he needs a break, and he do need a break. He was pushed to the brink. And that's not an easy thing to do, fighting good fights, especially fighting a guy like Carl Froch who's coming to take your hit. You remember Carl Froch was coming in to knock his head off. Early on in the fight, he was trying to, get into a boxing match with Andre Ward, which was totally, against him. But later in the fight, he was walking Ward down. And, again, Ward got a little tired. But Ward never let him, get into a rhythm that Carl Froch is used to kind of getting in. And, again, this has all come from, Ward just being a student that he is, knowing when to clinch, knowing how to, maul him and hold him. Everybody want to complain about stuff like that, but that's part of boxing. Amir Khan knew how to do those little – that's the things people always say, what do you mean, Train, when you say those little settled things? Those are the little settled things that you don't see on CompuBox and Box Score. These are the things that don't come up in the stat sheet the next day. These are the things that help fighters win the fight. Floyd Mayweather clutching a fighter arm, pushing him off with his elbow. The great ones know how to win. That's Andre Ward. You got to know how to win in boxing. Everybody gets caught with a punch. Floyd Mayweather was almost out on his feet against Shane Mosley. But guess what he did? He clutched his right hand so Shane couldn't get off no more punches after that. And bought himself time, got himself back into the fight. It happens. Andre Dirrell was fighting Carl Froch. He got tired. He was holding him. He didn't know what to do. Because a lot of these young guys, Dawson, who I like, who I'm very high on, the same way. It's these little settled things that you got to know how to do as a fighter. Now, where do we go from here? Now, Ward won the fight. Now, I thought the scorecard was a little bit laughable, in my opinion. Although was in the fight, it was not a 115-113 fight. It was more of a – now, granted, this 8-4, and then people probably say, well, it's only one round. But, yeah, that's a major difference, in my opinion. 8-4 and 7-5, I don't care if it's one round. That's still a major difference. It was more of an 8-4 fight than a 115-113 fight. And I forget, I don't have my paper. I know he won the ninth. I definitely know he won the third, and I can't remember what other 2 rounds he won. But Carl Froch, in my opinion, won 4 rounds. But that's neither here or there. Wait a second. That's not even neither here or there. Because I read today that one of the judges had to fight 4-1 for Froch in the beginning of the fight. See, guys like that need to be abandoned from the sport. They need to be banned from the sport, pardon me. They should never, ever be allowed in a boxing arena when somebody score a fight like that. Even Carl Froch himself, which I respect to the fullest, gave Ward his propers and said, the guy is very crafty, he's slick, and it ain't no shame in there. See, that's the thing, there's no shame when you lost to a great fighter. He didn't lose to Jermaine Taylor, no disrespect to Jermaine Taylor. He didn't lose to Arthur Abrams, to some of the runners out. He lost to a great fighter on Saturday night. A guy that we're probably going to be talking about 20 and 30 years from now. So we'll see what happens next. I think Andre Ward, if I'm him, and if I was inviting Andre Ward, he needs a rest, a tune-up, and then take a big fight. I would hate to see him come right back after this vigorous training camp and preparing for all these great fighters. Lucia Boutte popping his head out like a groundhog. All of a sudden think Ward's supposed to drop everything he's doing to fight him. Dog, you had some options you could have did. You could have got creative for Bernard at a catchweight. You was fighting a bunch of, and I like Lucia Boutte. This is not a rain on him. I just got issues when dudes come after the fact. That's only the issue I got. I understand the tournament is over. He had to wait. But, dog, the tournament ain't even 24 hours old, and you already in your bag calling out people. It's easy to do that after the fact. And I'm hearing he made afraid. I got news for y'all.